All right, so we have Bodie here today, which is very exciting, handsome man. So we have two Mr. Bs. So of course, thankfully they're not out at the same time unless it's like WrestleMania, but then I call them by their names. But remember, the reason behind the abbreviation is I don't want my dog or one of the students' dogs to hear their name, do a little check-in, and then get nothing for that name recognition. So this is where I tend to abbreviate the dogs' names. So I'm not constantly saying their name, talking about them in general, but then as they check in, they get no reinforcement for doing so. And then that lovely name recognition goes right out the window. Mr. Bodie is doing a very nice job checking in, right? We'll do another little find it. So as you can see, guys, I do tend to warm up with find it. It's one of my favorite dance moves for a lot of the dogs and puppies. And again, the reason behind that, it's got a lot of great movement behind it. It's fun, it's engaging, it gives your babe something to do other than the behavior you weren't loving, but it's also like your ABCs to a lot of other skills. So the benefit of sometimes working with your basics is remember that everything builds. So just like with us, if you don't know your ABCs, how are you going to be able to, for example, figure out words and then sentences and, for example, down the road reading a novel? So I'm not saying our dog's going to be busting out a novel and reading right now, but there are plenty of times where we expect the ability of a novel scenario, but are barely on picture books. So I'm not saying that's where we're at with Mr. B, but it's important to remember that whenever we're practicing, have we actually started at a level or at a comfort range or at a distraction level that your babe feels safe and working in that zone? So remember, first thing when learning is if they don't feel safe, oh my gosh, chewing's optional though. So if they don't feel safe, how are they possibly going to retain information? So there could be moments where I know Mr. B at times has gotten a little bit startled, like someone came out of their vehicle and they were in the car, so it surprised him. If your babe sometimes gets overwhelmed and they go into fight or flight responses, if you're finding that's happening often, I would make sure to start practicing some novelty, but within their comfort range. So going from puppyhood into a teenager, excuse me, I should not be drinking seltzer, I'm very sorry. So going from puppyhood into teenagers, you're going to have moments where your babes are going to go and start to notice things in the world. And when they notice them, you're going to start to see how comfortable or how not comfortable they may feel with novelty. Novelty when they're puppies is so crucial to get a lot of good foundation comfort experiences and that's where like I love the confidence building program that we have because it involves a lot of different sights, textures, sounds, and equipment, and even household items like that some folks might be using, walker, a cane, wheelchair. Because if your babe has never seen those things and all of a sudden magically someone has one, your babe has never been bombarded or bonked by someone with a cane, but because of a lack of experience, they could react the same way as if it was a negative experience or association. So just like with us, change and novelty can be overwhelming, especially if we don't understand what's happening. So like we mentioned a little earlier for some of the other babes when we were talking about our other Mr. B, Bernie, we want to think about our puppies, again, as furry little exchange students. So if they don't understand culturally, why do people shape shift? They put funny hats on, they wear sunglasses, they wear backpacks, they might be carrying heavy equipment or different items. That can change the profile of that person to not look like a person. So there could be moments where lack of experience with the weird things people do actually can lead to your babe having a hard time with novelty later. So obviously we know Mr. B over here has been in puppy classes and has been going really nicely through several different rounds. But even though he's had a really beautiful start, we want to keep maintaining even through adolescence, which I know is why he's kind of coming and visiting with the crazy snack lady, which is also very helpful for him. So Mr. B did a very nice job warming up some of these gorgeous find its with then reassociation or movement back to me for another little paycheck. So he's doing a really nice job. And I love his snacks, by the way. They're really nice. You did a good job pre-ripping them, but then I can make them even smaller, which is great. So when looking for training treats, guys, I would recommend, like, these are perfect for Mr. B. Training treats you can rip up or break into little pieces. I think pretty much all of the babes have already had really nice options. For our other Mr. B, Bernie, I know we discussed it, but maybe bringing a few extra different types could be really helpful to keep that engagement as the practice gets more challenging or more tiring or more distracting. Oh my gosh, chewing. Chewing and running is very hard. Well, what a good job. He's like, hold up, lady, I have to maybe eat it a second time. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. So I'm gonna grab for Mr. B his little dog cot, which I know he has been loving. He was practicing so beautifully in class. He's like, lady, hand it over now. So if your puppy is all up in your stuff and you really need to do something, this is where those find it's, like the beginning stages, your ABCs, can be immensely helpful. So that way I could do a little find it, because if he doesn't know how to leave the thing alone or move away or go sit over here and hold that position, this could be the beginning stages of getting those behaviors. So ready, bed? Oh, what a smart boy. He's like, this bed is pretty comfortable. So when working on some of these foundation behaviors, like going to a spot, building in that stay, I know for some of the other beauties, we were working a few other skills like weights, a little bit with some stay in the beginning for Miss S, but she wasn't really feeling it today. And technically, I noticed that Miss S has gone into heat. So no worries, she's very little. It's not like she's making a huge mess. But remember that when your dog is going through different life stages, excuse me, you are gonna have moments where, just like with anybody, if you're not feeling up to your game, completely comfortable because of something going on biologically, you may not be as attentive. So I noticed Miss S was a little bit off, and I figured it was just because it was day one for coming back to school. But I think what it actually was is that she now is in season. So don't worry, she's in her own little bubble. And when she does engage, again, these babies are really small. Two, Mr. Other B has already been altered, so there's no boyhood going on down at that end. So for Mr. B over here, though, he's still such a baby that none of that makes sense to him. So everybody will be safe. No baby making come puppy or doggy day school. So when we go to practice with our place behavior and our stays, we want to think about, again, creating those deposits into certain behavior accounts so the dogs feel like there's a value in doing the weird, but also sometimes really dumb behaviors from their perspective to rehearse. So I might tell him to stay. I'm going to see, and again, he's done this more with mom and dad. So this is where, again, if he's been a little out of practice with me, the novelty of coming to school and then mom and dad are not here, remember there's a lot for them to take on that is different, which means that maybe this could not be the same skill, be it stay. So I'm going to tell him to stay. I'm not going to add distance if that's a little challenging. Oh my goodness, yes, very overwhelming. I'm going to feed this handsome guy a couple little morsels for being stuck in his place behavior. Plus, normally as he's practicing, he's like, lady, it fell out of my mouth. That's very embarrassing. So if we lose him, oh my gosh, chewing is so hard today. Sir, you gotta chew those bad boys, okay? So if your babe breaks from their position, you'll see that I don't bust out a no or like or knock it off or whatever, because I would love to always have a puppy that feels comfortable trying something and not be worried that whatever they do could be a mistake that's about to get reprimanded. So I'm not saying that's what we're doing with this stud muffin. I think he's doing an amazing job. But from my perspective, if they don't feel safe trying something, how are they going to want to work other skills around us if it could be a safe or unsafe scenario? So right here, as Mr. B is doing stellar, even though I haven't applied my stay right now, I'm just feeding him for targeting his dog bed and feeling that there's value in being in our spot. This is really pretty. I know, our little babies. Some of them, when they go in for their little naps, are not as intrigued to go in for nap the whole time. But again, they all rotate. They come out for potty breaks. We do some engagement. We do some play. And we do some skills. So even if they have a time to take a break, they're still enjoying some of their chews from home or items that I have available too if they didn't have some longer lasting type chews. And we kind of get our boys and girls to get cozy in this bubble. What a smart man. So right now for Mr. B, we are just building value in being in our spot. Let's say this was getting much more comfortable. I would shorten the time frame so my reps between each snack for while being in stay would start to get bigger. So what I mean by that, as opposed to every 3 seconds, it might be 5 to 7 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds, whatever they can tolerate. So if I'm increasing the time frame, I don't want to all of a sudden also increase my distance or distractions all at once. So we have dived into a little bit with those 3 Ds. So your duration, your distraction level, and your distances. So right now, let's say Mr. B is doing a pretty good job. I'm just going to add a teeny bit of movement, but I'm still going to keep my reinforcement rate quite high. So that means every few moments I'm giving him a tidbit. into the building, making again a few noises. Don't know if you can pick it up on the mic, but as again the heat comes on and off, the building kind of shifts a little bit because of the metal ceiling, and it makes some weird creaky noises, which sometimes can be a little distracting for the babes. So let's say, oh my gosh, chewing. But let's say we wanted to end our stay. I would feed Mr. B his last little morsel, let him be done chewing, and then I'd say, all done, or whatever slogan you've been using. So I'm sorry if I don't remember yours. If it's not all done, just let me know and I'll make sure to use yours. So when he's all done with his stay, if let's say he doesn't want to get up, I might love him up a little bit with this brilliant boy, and then we might get up and we wiggle our fingers. But the only time we get fed is while we're in the stay position. So I know I sort of mentioned this a little bit earlier with one of the other babes, is think about stay like freeze tag with room service. Like right here, yes. So I'm going to capture that behavior, like what I was trying to mention with Mr. B or Mr. Bernie, is capture the moments your babe does the behavior and feed for those moments. So you can, again, add more of those paychecks or those bank account moments with deposits. So this is really pretty. So we might get our down. And then right there, yes. So, but when working with the stay, view it like freeze tag with room service, and there's no recall. So recall, like coming when called, would be from your weight or from just the environment being called to you. And again, the reason we like to have two distinct behaviors is the same thing we like to have a stay, the same thing we want to have a sit and a down. So if we can, oh my gosh, chew them, sir. Chewing is so hard. They're better maybe the second time. I'm going to try to break them up even smaller for you, you poor little monkey. So let's say, for example, if you interchanged sits and downs, how easy would it be for your babe to learn them and be doing them the right way all the time? So for my guys, I like to have stay there until I come to get you, and to build stay as being the best part of it as I feed for only while they're in the stay. So right here, Mr. B is only getting little morsels for being in the stay. Later, this could involve distance. This could be involved more distractions. You could be doing this in like your side yard versus the front yard versus in the house and build in that generalization. But you may want to, of course, start it off on a longer lead. So you're adding distances. He's not completely off gear. So again, right here, I'm feeding for this. So let's say I wanted to end this beautiful stay behavior. He's like, I'm not sure yet, lady. I'm going to feed him one more little morsel. He's like, I almost lost it. So we'll feed him his last little tidbit for being in his place and the stay. We would say, all done. And you could add a little bit of touch if he likes the touches. And then I tend to just wiggle my fingers. He gets no food. Oh my goodness. Unless he hawks one up. But he gets no food for getting off of the thing or out of the stay. Good job. So right here, we're just feeding again for being such a smart man, going right to our target, which I know he's brilliant, even doing this in class before. So again, down. Yes. So if your babes tend to have trouble as family comes in, I'm not saying instantly to go into a place behavior. We may instead do things like we did with Bernie earlier, which is those movement skills like find its and redirecting to other skills that don't involve being stuck. You could also reinforce, let's say, being calmer by feeding for doing, let's say, some interactive items. So you could have a puzzle, you could have an interactive chew, you could have a lick mat or a frozen slow feed bowl with snacks stuck in them. And now as company comes in, you could ask them to go do those skills. So you're not, for example, avoiding the situation, but if let's say your babe can't handle the dynamic and the behaviors they're going to offer are the inappropriate behaviors, even though they might be very normal dog responses, we don't want them to rehearse getting really good at jumping. So if your babe is instead busy eating a slow feed bowl, snacks out of that, versus going and jumping on your toddler or your grandson or whoever, then your babe around littles can do this instead of that. And then obviously as we start to build in more understanding around certain skill sets and we still have that comfort range, then you could ask for place behavior as someone's coming in and out of the home. But starting there would be really very challenging for most. Nice. So, but this is where maybe you start doing this while you're loading the dishwasher. You know, you pretend to go sit at your dinner table and you sit down, you get back up and you feed him for not moving as you go to sit at the chair. So there's definitely ways to build up difficulty or starting to generalize this for a real world situation. He says this is the greatest day of his life. He is a huge fan of his dog bed, as we know from previous practice in class. What a brilliant boy. But then he every once in a while gets a little distracted with the sounds of the building. Yes. And two, guys, don't worry if he's not looking at you the whole time. I don't really care, especially in the beginning when he's just working on vegging and relaxing and kind of hanging out. The dog could be looking at a butterfly. He could be looking out the window. But if, let's say, looking at something got him distracted and he gets up, then maybe asking him for a little check-in here and there would not be the end of the world. But I don't care if he's doing something else with his eyeballs, as long as his body is, for example, still on the target or working the stay, then you're good. So let's say I'm going to end this gorgeous stay for Mr. B. I'm going to go and feed him his last little morsel. What a smart boy. I'm going to say all done, or this could be finished, release, all set, free time, whatever slogan. I might even add a little bit of touch for this handsome monkey. Ready? And we get him up, and I don't leave. I wait for him to kind of collect himself up and leave with me from that spot. What a brilliant boy. He's like, thanks. I know you might have to eat your snack you dropped. Ready? Right there. Find it. We'll find it later. So maybe what we'll do is I'll move our dog cot out of the way. We'll do another little find it over here so he doesn't get stuck on the bed again, because he does love it. And we'll do a little bit with maybe some loose leash walking. Ready, sir? So I know we were doing a bit with loose leash walking with our other Mr. B. Oh my goodness, that's always embarrassing when they fall out of your jowl, but you get to eat them again. Yum. So I do find that sometimes meandering through your environments and capture those moments where the puppy comes and hones in on you. He dropped his food again. It's hard when you're a slimy face. It's very normal though. So, and two, he lost so many baby teeth recently. So he might have like no teeth and everything's just falling out anyway. So you could practice a little bit with this orientation to you. So you might toss a snack away. You move away in like your living room or kitchen. He comes to reorient back to you. You could capture that behavior when he's next to you, yes, and feed. Then you could, again, while he's busy chewing or doing something else, see if he can reorient back to you again. What a smart man. And feed him again by the leg, be it left or right. So this way you could do a little bit with this lovely loose leash walk-in, feed again for by the side, and then maybe he's doing so nice, I'm going to send him away. What a good job. And then see if he comes back into my space again for more loose leash walking. Oh, so smart, yes. So because if we don't kind of do some of this fun, then it does sometimes become a little challenging as things get harder to hone in on you becoming cooler than the environment. So I'm not saying that we want our puppies in a strict heel position with engagement with us and never noticing the world. It can be okay to have moments where your babe is focused to avoid something or to focus on you versus something else. But if we're constantly always looking for focus when the babe is maybe struggling physically or mentally, then we may be by accident creating walks that are much more challenging than they'd have to be. So in the beginning, especially for a youngster or even a new dog to you or a dog that's struggling with feelings, if they don't have much of a base and now we're asking them to hone in on us while the environment becomes challenging, your babe may not be able to function on that behavior in the first place. But now the other new things become very exciting or frustrating. And because they don't get to sniff or be a pup or a dog, you may have a dog that, because they're not able to do doggy things, become more problematic. So I like to have my guys do some check-ins with, let's say, with me, or like sort of heel behavior, sort of. And then we work on, let's say, for example, exploration on a longer lead where they can be a dog. They're not ripping my arm out of its socket though. So as we're meandering, if they come across a moment where there's tension, with my guys, I've taught them leash pressure. So when they come to the end of the gear and they feel pressure, they come and check in, because it's equal. When you feel pressure, come get a paycheck. So that way, if my boys were to ever get too far ahead and they come across, let's say, some tension, be it in a shorter leash or a longer lead, when they feel that, they then sort of slow down and they pivot and they come heading back to me for a little check-in moment. You can then start to implement that with a slogan before they even get to the end of the leash, like a recall, or for example, a certain word that means to come back to you from something. Some folks do like let's go if the babe is a little distracted sniffing, and then they use that for like let's keep moving versus a recall. Because if, let's say, we always pair a recall word with leaving something exciting, I'm going to put that one broke a little too small. So if recall starts to equal the end of the fun, or the moment we leash you up, or the moment I pull you away from an odor, the next time they hear come, there might be like, no thanks, and they may not respond. So make sure recalls do not become the end of the game. He's dropped the snack again. The end of the game or the bringer of the bad from their perspective. So if every time you call them, you leash them up and you go back inside, calling them equals the game is over. So maybe the next time we recall, we may not want to come. So try to make it where recalls equal just in general fun to come towards you, feed them heavily, and send them back away to work a few reps. So you can see Mr. Handsome is very intrigued of coming back over to me. Excuse me, even if I send him away with a snack, I could move away, and then I could go again. We'll see if I can get his attention. Bodie, come. What a good boy. Yes. So if, for example, recalls are not going so hot, how have we used them? So if, let's say, recalls have been the end of the game, then maybe we're starting to kind of poison that cue, which means the babe doesn't have a good association, but a bad one around it. So again, Bodie, come. Oh, big boy running. Nice job. You're so smart. What a good boy. So again, I'm going to send him away for another little moment to practice this recall. Nice. Bodie, come. And two guys, if you were ever too slow to call him and he was already heading towards you, I would still recommend just feed him for that coming into your space. So even if you didn't get to do your slogan, but your puppy started to orient back to you, I would capture those moments of coming back to you and create value in those scenarios. So again, Bodie, come. Oh, such a smart boy. Yes. Two, if, for example, he could do an amazing 15 recalls or 20 recalls and still be pretty interested in the game, I would still sometimes do 3 recalls and call it a day, 4 recalls, maybe another day 7. But if it's always multiple recalls to the point where it almost becomes like boot camp for recall practice, he may want to kind of not be participating in that game. So he might just call it quits and say no thanks. So he's like, crumb patrol, good job, sir. Ready, we'll do another little find it. So again, Bodie, come. The food fell out of his face again. Oh my goodness, good job. So you'll also see that sometimes I get the chance to mark behavior. Not always do I get to mark everything with my YES, but as long as I'm feeding or praising or giving something that he finds reinforcing, that means he's gonna think that thing had value. So the main goals are just at least reinforcing the puppy in a way that seems reinforcing to them. So if your babe loves toys, then toys might be more of a great way to build in a recall, because when you come when called, we play together and that can create a really nice dynamic. He's like, yes, ma'am. So we'll do another little find it. That one did not go very far. It got stuck on my hand with the saliva. Ready? Bodie, come. What a smart boy. So smart. He's doing stellar, by the way. So maybe what we'll do is we'll give Mr. B a little break from some of these gorgeous skills, but he's doing a really, really good job, minus the chewing, but we're all working on that slowly. So we'll do another little find it. We'll do one more recall. We'll give him a little break, and then we'll work a few more skills. Bodie, come. Oh my goodness, what a brilliant boy. You're so smart. He really is a lovely little gentleman. All of the babes are doing stellar, by the way. So very nice work so far for day number 1 for all of the beautiful boys and girls. He says, I'm going to yell at you soon if you don't feed me again. He's a very hungry boy, growing like a weed. So ready? Bodie, come. Oh, so smart. So but we'll give him a little break, go out for a quick little potty, because again, with the younger babes, I do like to get them out a few times. Miss J has also had several potty breaks too, so she's been doing a great job going in and out. Chew them, sir. But we'll give them a breather and then we'll work a few more little skills in just a moment.